Hello, welcome back to the post-match pint on the Villa View in association with Purity. I'm Dan Bardell, joined by Neil and Ty to review Villa's 2-0 win against Newcastle on Saturday. If you are looking to acquire some Purity Brewing goods, then if you use the code hashtag VillaView, then you'll be able to get 10% off everything they offer. Gotta say, I really liked doing post-match pint straight after the game last season because I could remember what happened. But Neil, you come to a few days later. My memory's not what it used to be. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. My voice is a couple of octaves lower. I'm in the throes of a hangover at the moment. But what I do remember of the game, I think, is very much so. When I watched, obviously I wasn't there. I watched it on a stream I got over here this side of the Irish Sea, and I watched the second half in Hebrew. So it's definitely my own thoughts. I haven't been influenced by the commentator at all. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
And Ty, you were at Villa Park like me, although a lot has happened to us since then after a big night out straight after the game. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm all recovered. I mean, I don't drink, so
that's true. You sound like you do. Though.
No, I've got the lurgy. I don't know which kind, but I'm a little bit under the weather. But yeah, Saturday was a very good day overall, mate.
Yeah, that was the big thing, wasn't it? The main takeaway from me from just being back at full Villa Park is that it made me happy.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It was weird. Not weird in a bad way, but you know, it's not in things I'm used to in hearing a roar, you know, of that capacity. It's been a long time since my eardrums have been subject to that. So it was unreal though. It was like we had never been away. You know, everyone was normal, everything was good. The atmosphere was great. But yeah, it was just nice to be around friends.
Yeah. And Neil, was it as pleasant in Hebrew on the television?
I will say that it did sound great. Like the fans sounded great, especially towards the end. And you know, it was really good to hear that Jacob Ramsey is one of our own. You know, all these chants, all the chants that were coming through the TV screen. It really makes such a massive difference because I never want to go back to that kind of alien feeling of hearing the echoes in the stadium or the pumped-in crowd noise. And yes, it was fine. You know, you could hear Tyrone Mings bellowing at people. You could hear the words being shouted in from the sideline. But you know, it's the suspension sometimes of belief when you're watching sport that comes from being carried away in the sound of the fans, of you know, of everything that's going on in the stadium, and that emotion, I think, is really, 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 really important. Even when you're watching it from your sofa, you know, that's really important to have as well, because you know, it's all encompassing as part of the package. You know, it's what makes us fans and what makes us want to like. It's the love of. I was watching it there, going, my God, I have to get over there really, really soon. You know, like I have to do absolutely everything I can to get over there really soon, and you know. That made me even kind of love watching the game even more, you know, hearing all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and Ty, I'm sure he was bellowing and shouting, but the atmosphere in the second half in particular, there was no way you were ever going to hear Tyrone Mings.
Yeah, it was news to me that you could hear him shouting, because I definitely couldn't hear anything. But I sit in the Holt lower, so you know, as soon as the echoes start from the upper, you know, you got no chance of hearing anything that's going on the pitch. But yeah, the atmosphere was nice, especially the second goal was a little bit weird, especially as it all took so long. It was PTSD of, you know, us waiting for something to come against us on VAR. So it was actually nice for a change, you know, for us to be in a scenario where we're like, are we going to get a penalty here?
Wow, yeah, I mean, VAR was on sensational form now. Absolutely doing bits of VAR. Like, one of the performances we've never really seen in an Aston Villa shirt from VAR.
No, God bless those thicker lines anyway for the offside decisions, because like it definitely when Martinez came out and absolutely barreled into Callum Wilson, I said, oh my God, that's one of the silliest penalties I've ever seen given away. And I can understand why he came out, but it was literally like he just. You know, it was nailed on penalty, and then all of a sudden it was VAR, and I was like, "What went on here?" And even initially, you couldn't even see that it was offside, and then the lines came along across the screen that was there. oh my God, this is going to really be our lucky day, because, you know, it would have been really kind of difficult towards the end of the game if it was 2-1 at that stage. And hell, it might have even been 1-1, because VAR obviously came to our aid for our own penalty that El Ghazi dispatched. And, you know, they talk about your arm being in an unnatural position. I don't know if you can really dictate what is a natural and unnatural position from that close distance, but, you know, it was going to go into the back of the net, the header, if it didn't hit his hands. So it was probably the correct decision for me, I think, and I don't think any of the Newcastle fans can feel too aggrieved about the penalty decision we got, the penalty decision they got. If that was against us, if that was for, like, if it was Rhodes reversed, I would have been screaming at the screen. You know, I still would have been. But look, hey, them's the breaks. We're getting them early this year, and long may they continue.
Yeah, I mean, the first half actually, Todd, probably maybe the first half an hour, I'd say it was a little bit more uncomfortable than I would have liked it to be. We took a while to get going, I thought.
Yeah, I agree, Dan. It was they were very much coming at us more than we were coming at them. We welcomed a bit too much pressure for my liking. But once we found our feet in the game, you know, there was no doubt that once we'd gone 1-0 up, I was quite confident that it was gonna stay in our favour. But yeah, the first half hour was definitely rocky, mate, 100%.
It was always going to be one of those games, I think, Neil. I think after the first 10, 15 minutes, I turned to my dad and I said, whoever scores first is probably going to win this. It did kind of have that vibe, although I think the weather wasn't particularly great. We're still finding our feet as well, aren't we? We've got players missing. One massive player who we've bought in the summer. Our top goal scorer from last season is not playing. So we're playing with a bit of a new team. People are not up to fitness. We've had a disruptive pre-season. It is going to take time, and I guess that's reflected in that first half.
Absolutely, and you know, even when you go back to that first 10, 15 minutes, getting out of jail there with some of the crosses that came across Matty Cash, I thought was really good in the first 10, 15 minutes at blocking things off at the back post. And obviously that Callum Wilson shot that genuinely, I don't think I would have put it that far wide. You know, if I was in that position, but I thought that was a foul on Mings as well in that situation. But talk about he really tried to complicate it by putting in the postage stamp at the top, in the top corner, when he should have beaten Emiliano Martinez, you know, from that distance. But after that first 10, 15 minutes, it was a bit of a lull. We didn't really come out of the blocks firing. I thought we were more kind of concentrated in getting our setup correct and right at the start, and we did. And then we went on, you know, as I said, the goal was an absolute banger, our first goal. I'm sure we're probably going to get on and talk about it in a moment. But that was a massive changing point, considering how close it was to halftime too. And, you know, that really kind of deflated and deflated them and allowed us to go in, you know, on good terms, I suppose, in a positive mindset.
Yeah, one thing I will say from being at the game, Todd, I don't know whether this came across on telly as well, Neil, was just that the games, the Premier League games, are just allowed to flow now. And it's so much better. I know there was a couple of times Villa fans were up in arms that we should have had free kicks, but you can't have it both ways, really. And I really like the fact that the refs have been told to let the games flow. And from watching it, I can't understand why that decision has taken so long.
I think things were very, very stop and start last season, to the point where it was borderline frustrating. You know, the amount of added time was. I mean, I know we had +3 in the first half, but there was a lot of physio work going on in the first half. But yeah, the game definitely flows much better. You know, it's nice that, you know, people aren't rolling, screaming around the floor for literally, you know, the tiniest of taps. It's nice that the game flows a lot more. And I'm glad that's been put in place. Yeah, you're right. A bit frustrating that it's took so long, but I'm glad that it's finally there. Definitely.
Yeah. There's like niggly, annoying fouls that defenders pick up now, which basically is the equivalent of a striker driving in the penalty area, but a defender dives in the corner and he gets a free kick. They're gone. You know, you can't get them anymore. It's going to take some getting used to. But I think the players struggled with it initially, getting used to the fact that things that usually pick up little free kicks, needless free kicks they aren't going to fly this season anymore.
Well, even you just had to look at the United Southampton game yesterday, whereby Bruno Fernandes goes over and he gets a foul for that every day of the week last year, and this year he didn't. And then Southampton go and they score, and Ole, as he's moaning in his presser afterwards, and Bruno Fernandes is incredulous. But I think that I like he feels the contact coming from behind. He flops forward. He expects his free and it doesn't come. And I, for one, I think that, yeah, look, it's at this moment in time anyway, for sure, it's a much better product, I think, to watch, and it's much more free flowing. It's faster. It's more exciting, and it allows teams to kind of really gain momentum, get momentum, and to drive through games, I think. So it's an interesting one. Hopefully it stays for the rest of the season, because you'd always be a small bit worried that if the top guys, if the big dogs, the big managers start giving out about it, that they'll just flip on a coin, and that's not something I want to see, because they've set the precedent now at the start of the season. So we might as well just continue it on and see where it takes us at the end of the season.
I mean, you're spot on there that it does make the product a lot more desirable. It does make it better. You'll be sure to renew your Hebrew TV subscription based on the product being better. So someone who, I saw a lot of people saying he was good in the second half, but not the first half. But I actually thought he tried to take the game by the scruff of the neck all the way through, and kind of in some ways looked like the senior man in midfield in the first half. I thought Jacob Ramsey. I thought that was a standout performance from him. But I've been waiting for him to kind of have a game like that where I think, yeah, this is what you're about. He looks a bit more physical this season. Looks a bit broader and got a bit more about him.
Yeah, I think if there's a time where he's got a chance, more so now than probably in the next couple of years, for him to stand out. Because if we had a bit more depth in the middle of the field, he'd probably be out on loan.
We have got the depth. We just haven't got the combination, I don't think, at the moment.
Well, that's the thing. Morgan Sanson was originally supposed to be.
There he is.
Will you shut up, right?
Sanson.
Sanson. It was for this transfer window, but we took advantage of Marseille's financial troubles, and we got him in January. So in what I'd assume is Dean Smith's head is he sees him as a summer signing, and we didn't really see a lot from him last season. So he's going to need that chance. And it's good that, we've got those extra options in the centre of the field where Jacob Ramsey can play a game like that. We know the players in there because he's had a great game. So I'm content with him, to be fair. Still young, still got a lot to learn, but I think he's going to be some player, mate.
Yeah, he got my Twitter man of the match yesterday, which means absolutely nothing to him. But yeah, if you care,
or to anyone else.
And I've got to say as well, actually, I thought he was probably within 5-10 minutes of being on the pitch against Watford, probably our best player in that game at that point as well. He looks like my criticism of him last season there would be that he's perhaps a little bit safe. He played the ball simple sideways when perhaps he didn't need to. But on Saturday, I got the impression that he thought, I am going to take the ball forward. I can dribble. I'm going to drive with it.
Last year he was positioned as, I think they started to play him out wide right, and they didn't want to break up the Douglas Luiz, John McGinn, Ross Barkley access in the middle of midfield for whatever reason. And when he came on, sometimes he came on and he was played out wide right. I think this season he's going to cement his position in the middle. Last two games we've seen him play is more like not in the 10 role, but definitely 6, sometimes in the 8 role, and just suits him a small bit more. But the biggest thing for me,
deeper.
Yeah, so do I, and that's exactly it. Because when we played Arsenal last season, he bullied people. He got in close and he was tackling hard, and you saw that he did that again on Saturday. There was a couple of instances there whereby he just wasn't getting pushed off the ball, and that means an awful lot. At 20 years of age, he's bulked up a small bit as well, and I think he's there, and I think he stays stays in there for the Brentford game, and I think he's given every opportunity to, it's going to be up to him to lose that position now as opposed up to him to take it back, so I think Dean Smith is very much like that, and I think that he offered that small bit more dynamism in midfield.
Yeah, he's definitely taken his chance so far in the 1.5 games he's had. I think a lot of people have perhaps ruled him out as being a potential star, but he took the 2 games by the scruff of the neck, and fair play to him. He's had a really good start to the season. Now, Ty, I don't think we've quite worked out how to play with Danny Ings and make the best of Danny Ings yet. It's very, very early days. He's used to playing in a 2, which is obviously going to be our plan with him, but Watkins is injured at the moment, so it's not happening. So it's quite a new role for him, playing as the lower man when he's had the last 2-3 years at Southampton, playing in a 2. But my God, when the ball falls to him, it doesn't matter whether you've been involved in the game or not. He worked his socks off all day, but what a goal. Other than Luke Nillis, I cannot remember many better Villa Park debut goals than that.
Nuts. He's he's shown up and he's showed what he's capable of. And you know, there's been a lot of you paid 25, 30 million for a 29-year-old. Yeah, there you go. There's why.
Goals.
I'd pay 25 million for a guy who's got 3 or 4 years of, you know, 20 goal contributions in a season. Any day of the week, he's proven at that level. He's proven in this league, got the experience in the league. I actually think that that's good value for money.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited to see him and Watkins together, because Watkins in pre-season has looked very, very good. In the training session we had at Villa Park when the friendly got cancelled, I know it's only a training session, but he looked very, very good. I'm so excited to see them both together. Curious of what system we're actually going to play with 2 up top, what it looks elsewhere, you know, with Buendia and Don Leon. You know, I'm curious to see what happens there. But we've got some great attacking options, you know, so I'm excited to see those two together. Probably the most excited I've seen in a pair for a long time at Villa Park.
Yeah, I will say the video screen guy had an absolute stinker. First going back in front of fans, he's looking to keep it simple and he puts the wrong goal scorer up. Absolute stink. I don't know whether you noticed, it came up with Buendia for a while when the goal.
No, I didn't see that.
So everyone in the whole
goal.
Yeah, everyone thought it was Buendia initially.
I didn't see it. I went.
Yeah, it was on the screen for ages saying it was Buendia. So the scoreboard man, Mr. Scoreboard Man, you have had an absolute.
Well, he's had 18 months off, Dan. Give him a breather.
You know what? He's still been working the scoreboard though. The scoreboard's still been on for the last 18 months. He's still been doing it. The pressure of the crowd got to him. So we all thought it was Buendia initially, which would have been equally as brilliant to see him get off the mark at Villa Park now. But it's absolutely some goal. It's, you know, he's not just put that in the air. He's thought about where he's put it as well. It's a hell of a rocket into the net.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And it was interesting to see, I suppose, how am I going to put this? Because I know that every player, when they attempt one of those, they actually think they're going to score it. But he got up and he was like, yeah, this is what I do. I'm Danny Ings, you know, and he's goal. And the reason I'm saying that is because he scored one very, very similar for England, just from the opposite side. And it was actually Mings who flicked it on for him as well in his England debut. Yeah, it was really, really similar. So it's great. Look, listen, we need cult heroes. We need Holt End heroes, and we need someone to replace that lad who got the tap in against Norwich the weekend. And if Danny Ings keeps on pinging him in, you know, and has a 1-in-1 ratio for the rest of the season, well, then it bodes very, very well. And if there can be spectacular finishes like that, then so be it. Because you know, I think he's and going back to what you mentioned there, that we don't really know how to play with him. I think that's definitely right, but I think that he's adaptive, and I think that he can get on the ball, and when he gets on the ball, he had one of the best finishing efficiency rates, I think, last season. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but I think it was like he scored 1 in every 2 shots he took or something. One in every 2 shots and targets he had last season. So like, to have that poacher and that fox, that somebody with that just natural kind of instinct and composure there is fantastic. Because for all the great stuff that Ollie Watkins does, and this isn't a negative about Ollie Watkins, he's still learning the striker's role after coming in from playing as a right winger. And we could see that last year, a couple of 1-on-1s he hit straight at the goalkeeper and things like that. He will grow and he will learn, and he's going to be even better. And we've seen it, I think, in pre-season as well, that he looks a small bit more composed in the ball. But Danny Ings is that kind of ready-made experienced striker, and you know, that's what's going to come for Ollie Watkins. And as they say, experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. You know, that you learn from those experiences, and they make you they're the things that kind of shape you. So, you know, Danny Mings has done that, and we have him up top, and hopefully Ollie Watkins is then going to go on and even surpass his goal total this season. And we've got 2 people up there that are as composed when the ball is at their feet.
Yeah, it's one of those glorious moments as well, Ty, when you score and the other team kicks off, and then the whistle just goes for half time. And then you know the Newcastle fans are sad, which was brilliant to say. I also thought it did us a few favours, because I think it'd been a bit tetchy, perhaps. Particularly, it felt in the whole in it. It felt a little bit tetchy. I think it's only natural after last week's humbling at Watford and some of the stuff that's happened in the summer. You know, it was getting a little bit antsy, but it really gave us lift off, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd won a goal scorer treble as well that had come in by half time, so I was over the moon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to go into half time, you know, in the lead. It kind of creates a little bit of calm.
Yeah.
it's rough going into. It's nerve-wracking going into half-time with a draw or losing. Yeah, even more so, it's worse when you're losing. But yeah, it's nice for that to happen. It's usually something that only happens on FIFA. Someone scoring in 45 plus 3. That's just what happens on FIFA all the time. But yeah, it was nice to go into half time on the positive, and then it starts the atmosphere right for the second half, doesn't it? It puts us in a good place, puts everyone in a good mood. And just starts the second half off right, hungry for more goals. That's what we're there to see at the end of the day, isn't it? So, but you can't really top that after a goal like that from Danny Ings. It's hard to top, isn't it?
Yeah, because I never felt in any particular trouble, actually. At the start of the second half, I thought we were obviously attacking the whole end. I felt quite buoyed myself, and the team looked like it had given them a lift as well, Neil. And we've gone through the intricacies of getting a penalty, and one of our new players, VAR, doing us a favour. But you just know El Ghazi's going to score a pen every time. I mean, he'll miss his next one now, I've said that. But you just never really feel like he's going to miss.
6-6 in the Premier League. I think that's what they said. Yeah. So, and to literally be like, there was no question whether it was going to be him or Ings, even though Ings took it last weekend, and because El Ghazi was off the field. But there was no question. It was like, yeah, this is my job. This is what I'm good at. I'm going to take this. And for all his, I suppose, for maybe some of the idiosyncrasies that El Ghazi does have, he does have a lot of self-confidence. And you can see it in some of his wayward shots that he takes, and he's no problem shooting from every angle, although we haven't seen that this season yet. But yeah, it's great to have that composure, to be able to just step up and just ping it in, and for the team and for the fans to know that, look, there's a good chance this guy's going to put it in the back of the net, because we've, so far so good for him. It was actually really cool. Emi Martinez, for the penalty, he came right up to the halfway line, and he just kind of went down, and he's kind of squatted down, and he watched the penalty. And there's little things that you see Emi Martinez does, and like, he's just a born leader. And I know I'm just after completely going off from El Ghazi to talk about Martinez, but it's just,
I'm about to go off on one for something I forgot to talk about just before, so carry on.
Because and that's basically, that looked cool. It looked great. It looked great for squad morale. It looked great for kind of togetherness of the squad, and I think that very much Dean Smith's managerial style is an awful lot about getting guys that would be mates or would want to all succeed together. It's a collective kind of hive mentality that they have, and someone like Martinez there to be able to, he just these little things, and that was one that kind of stood out for that penalty, that he was genuinely excited for Anwar El Ghazi, and he needed to get closer to the action to see it. A lot of goalkeepers would turn around maybe and face the fans and not watch the penalty. We've seen that sometimes, but Martinez couldn't get enough of it, and I think that's cool, and it's a nice. It shows a nice squad harmony. I think for me, it's only a small thing, but all these small things matter.
Yeah, they do matter. The small things of making notes when you're doing a podcast is probably
what did you forget, Dan?
I completely forgot to touch on the set piece, coach, from the throw-in. I mean, Villa haven't taken a good throw-in for maybe 30 years, and then they take the first one of their first long throw-ins of the new regime, and they get a goal off it. I mean, Danny Murphy doesn't like it, but the rest of us do. To score off a throw-in, Villa can barely throw to their own player normally, Neil, let alone score a goal off a throw-in.
Yeah, if we're making Danny Murphy unhappy, we're doing something right.
I'm not convinced he's ever happy.
No, he doesn't. He just has that face of thunder, doesn't he? He just never looks happy. But yeah, look, he seems to be going off on one and giving out about the fact that we'll have too many coaches now. Yet we're -2. Yeah. So I don't know.
He's like Dan, where he doesn't do his notes before he goes live on air.
Potentially.
The guy here does a lot of podcasts. I have a lot of podcasts to get through.
It was more of a dig at him than you, Dan.
Yeah.
Danny Murphy was I thought it was a really weird take, and then he not only did it on Match of the Day too, he's then gone on TalkSport today and said the exact same thing again, but gone into a little bit more detail. I can imagine him like getting married to his wife and about to say his vows and saying, I don't know why we need a reverend. Why do you need a reverend?
In fact, why do I need a wife here? I'll just get married on my own.
Weird. It's just a weird analogy to say the manager should be doing all those things.
It's because it causes controversy, attracts clicks, and that's how it is. Controversy attracts clicks. I don't. some of the there's been a few things today. Like I've had a few comments today, of things that have been said about Norwich City, which I think were completely, absolutely ridiculous. But it's just one of those things, isn't it? It attracts attention.
You went to the hurling yesterday, Neil.
I did.
Yeah, have I got that right?
Hurling.
Just out of interest, what's the coaching setup with hurling? A different sport? Because NFL, there's loads. What's the coaching setup for hurling?
Oh, Daniel, thank you very much.
Don't start him off.
Thank you very much for asking. Everybody was thinking they were getting to bed early tonight. Put up a chair. It's going to be an hour longer. No, but it's thank you very much, producer. Put them up on the screen. No, it's completely amateur sport, I suppose, is number one, and all the coaches, everybody is amateur. It's not a professional sport. But saying that, there is Limerick won yesterday. I'm from Limerick, and Limerick are like a juggernaut at the moment, and they get an awful lot of stick as well. Would you believe? It's very similar. They get stick because they bring a tactics board on the sideline, and they show people, like, they use the tactics board to show how to change tactics. They get stick because they've got a sports psychologist in their backroom team, who is really very much so credited with a lot of their success, because they're their average age is only 26 and things like that. They've got three coaches, but then they've got the tactics guy, and they've got a whole stats room. So there's probably a backroom of about 20 together. But like,
Neil, only you could get 30 seconds to talk about hurling and not actually get to the question in the 30 seconds.
That's it.
That's what I'm talking about.
30 seconds. It feels like 30 minutes.
But what I'm saying is that like Danny Murphy gives Villa stick about having a set piece coach, and in an amateur sport like hurling, Limerick gets stick for having a guy that holds the tactics board and a sports psychologist. You know, it's all about the incremental gains and kind of trying to find the market efficiencies. And if you need to bring in somebody that's better at it than you, admitting that you're not the best set piece coach in the world and bringing in a set piece coach isn't a sign of weakness. If the budget is there, just do it. You know?
Hey, if that goal was a product of Stone Cold Steve Austin, then I'm telling you, like, he's going on the back of a Villa top. I don't care, and then I'll get Johan on the away shirt.
Yeah, it's already paid for itself, hasn't it? Because you get like different increments of millions depending on where you finish in the Premier League. You know, that was the winning goal. That's 3 points that we might not have got had we not worked on that throw-in. You know, it's
if that's from a set
piece,
piece, that is some serious, like, imagine a set piece taker coming into the club and going, right, what we're going to do is we're going to throw in. You're going to have your big centre back flick it on, and then your striker's going to score a bicycle kick.
No, I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it was a flick on for a header. I actually think it was for Ezri Konsa, but Konsa took up the same position as Mings, and it just so happened to fall to Danny Ings.
Good point. I'm just trying to make it a bit more theatrical now.
Okay, sorry.
But no, look at it though. It looks quite simple what they've done, but you know, Danny Ings is all on his own. So they must have done something with runs and making space, because literally there was no one anywhere near Danny Ings off the back of that flick on. So something's happened. Yeah, that's been worked on.
Well, you can see that Mings starts to move as the throw has been taken. So Mings is trying to get in and around that position, I think, there. So I think whatever the call was or whatever the tactic was there, I'm quite convinced that Mings was supposed to get to that spot for the throw in anyway, because it just makes sense. He's the biggest player we have. So why not get him on the end of the throw in and use it like a corner?
We don't know what was more surprising, scoring from a set piece or scoring a bicycle kick in the same breath.
Yeah.
Still throw into a Villa player was the biggest one for me, because that has honestly not been something that's happened to
well, Matty Cash had a throw in a bit before that, didn't he? That didn't even get on the pitch, so we had to retake.
Yeah, he did. But that long throw, you know, we hadn't even been there all last season. We didn't do that once. So, you know, we found something new. Matty Cash has got a good long throw, and it's worked, and we've got a goal and possibly won a game because of it. So I would say that's a good thing. I don't think you can look at that in a bad way at all. Did another podcast before I came on here, the Villa Generals, and Simon T said that when we scored that first goal, I didn't spot this at the game. When we scored that first goal, Emi Martinez headed straight for McPhee.
Yeah.
To celebrate with him.
Did he?
So, you know, again, incredible team spirit, but again, that attention to detail. Obviously, Martinez isn't.
I didn't spot that, but what I did spot is he stands up every time we have a set piece to get. He goes and stands next. I did spot that.
Yeah, he does do that, doesn't he?
I love that.
I like that.
With his big locks and stands up, folds his arms and gives it the big moody, and he goes, "Have you listened to me, you little terrors?"
Yeah, it's like he's watching and make sure you execute properly. Yeah, Austin Powers, I loved it. I did.
Oh, don't ever call him that again, mate.
What did you say? I think you called him something Stone Cold Steve Austin earlier.
I'd rather him be 316 than Austin Powers. That's a bit
He looks a bit more. He's a bit more Austin Powers than he is Stone Cold Steve Austin, man.
How did we get here? How did we get here?
We have really got off from talking about Al Ghazi's penalty to having to go back in time and talk about something that I forgot to talk about. But yeah, after the pen, Neil, okay, we could have possibly given away a penalty, but we looked quite comfortable, and we brought some players on. Badais came on and got a little bit of football. Twanzebe came on and played defensive midfield at the end of the game. I actually thought Wesley looked quite lean when he came on as well. It made a little bit of an impact, Wes. It was good to see him back on the pitch again because, he's been through absolute trauma and absolute hell. But I thought he looked lean and relatively sharp when he came on. It wasn't on for that long, but he won a header, which I'm pretty sure I didn't see him win the last time I was at Villa Park.
Yeah, I think there was some statistic floating around out there that he had 4 aerial duels, won 2 of them, which is something that, you're not going to get that with you're not going to get that with Danny Ings. You're probably not going to get that with Ollie Watkins, so having a change of pace player like that to be able to bring on, and I fully expect him to get a start against Barrow tomorrow night.
Oh yeah,
Wesley, and I fully expect him to score 19 goals in that game against Barrow tomorrow night because I'm certainly not somebody who's written him off. He's done some silly things and he's not being blistering, but he's only played, I think I read somewhere he's only played something like 14 or 16 full games for Aston Villa. So it's kind of like Morgan Sanson. There's just the sample set isn't there to be able to make a relative determination on him. But it's great to see him come in and great to have that option there because much and all as I wanted Keenan Davis to succeed last season, having Danny Ings, Ollie Watkins and Wesley is a better stable of strikers, by any measure.
Yeah. I mean, he was better than his last outing when he came on against Stoke because he stayed on the pitch longer than 30 seconds, which he didn't manage when he came on in the friendly against Stoke. Let's just talk John McGinn quickly, Ty, because I think I'm always a bit harsh on McGinn. I think I very rarely talk about him. I think it's because I've got such high expectations for him. But did you think he raised his game on Saturday and played to the kind of McGinn level that we know he can get to? He looked like he'd taken on a bit more of a leadership role. I know he's vice captain now as well, but he just seemed a bit more about the place, and he looks a bit leaner as well, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he had said before the season started, pre-season that he's felt fitter than he ever has, and especially now as vice captain and being in the centre of the field, you really can set the work rate for the rest of the team if you're putting in the work.
Longest serving players.
Yeah, and if you do a full circle of the pitch, you've got the rest other 10 players around you. So when you're setting that standard of work rate, it that can feed into the other players, and I think that's really important. So when I find if Villa have a good game, John McGinn has had a good game. I think that's a very common theme. I thought he was outstanding, and it was very refreshing to see that John McGinn on the pitch. And I really hope it continues because he's such a lovable character, and he gives us all laughs on social media, doing silly things and having a laugh. So I really hope we get that John McGinn for the rest of the season because we know the players in there. And I think we need that John McGinn if we're going to push on this season, 100%.
Confident in his physique this season as well. I don't think I've ever seen him whip his top off at the end of the game so quickly. Taking Tyrone Mings' role as chief shirt taker off for Neil. But what did you think of him?
Yeah, he's after he finished up with Scotland, I saw an Instagram post. I think it was on Conor Horan's Instagram, and John McGinn and Conor Horan were on holidays together, and they were running shuttle runs together. And this was like 3 days after Scotland, or 4 days maybe after Scotland got knocked out. It was, I think I read somewhere as well that he more or less hired his own fitness coach to go on holidays with him, and it was like a working holiday, and he basically didn't stop because he felt that during the COVID breakdown or the COVID lockdown, should I say, and Project Restart, that with him being injured prior to that and coming back afterwards, that he was undercooked. And you can see the difference in him now. Championship John McGinn, and started the Premier League when he like that game against Spurs, first game back in the Premier League. That John McGinn is a scary prospect in midfield. He gets through so much work, and I think a lot of the time last year, and I've said this a couple of times on my own podcast, a lot of the time last year, he got a bad name for being the last man on the scene when something happened, because he was trying to maybe cover for maybe a mistake someone else made. So he's almost too willing to work in midfield, and he kind of overcomplicated it a small little bit. But this year, his fitness is getting him to positions quicker. And look, we're 2 games in. We'll see how this lasts throughout the rest of the season. But I'd love to get some running distance numbers on him and to see what it's like. But he's another person, just as I said, Jacob Ramsey as well. But he's another person that would benefit from a more stable position, more stable setup, because he's played 3 different positions in the 3 years he's been at Aston Villa, and he will play everywhere. As I say, it's his willingness to just have the team sometimes can be detrimental to him, but he's looking good this season, and long may it continue for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be showing my Football Manager credibility here, Neil, but he's took to me like a bit of a Mazzala role at times, because Buendia's playing from the right and obviously tends to drift into the 10. McGinn was actually spending quite a lot of the time on the right flank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know that for sure, as I say, but he is. I remember in the first season we were back in the Premier League, he was almost given the right-hand side of the field to just marshal that and be the midfielder for that half of the field. And his heat map stats for that year they're actually hilarious, because it's like as if he's playing as a right winger for a lot of that season. And while we were pretty woeful in our first season back in the Premier League, and obviously, just staying up in the last day, I think McGinn had a pretty decent season. He did a pretty decent start to the season anyway. And
the injuries curtailed him.
The injuries curtailed him. Yeah. So maybe this is something that he prefers to do. He likes to do. I know his heat maps so far see him, and they actually see him kind of playing in a kind of a square around the center circle, if that makes sense. So he's given license to kind of roam and protect everything in and around there. But he is. As I say, his energy and endeavor is never a negative. As long as we have that in the team, he will be able to offer something to us, regardless of what position he's played.
Yeah, most people, when I put up my Jacob Ramsey tweet yesterday, man of the match, most people were saying no, McGinn. McGinn was man of the match. So yeah, I mean, it's good to be picking over multiple man of the matches, to be honest, because that hasn't always been the case in previous seasons. It was man of the match is Jack, and you might not pick anyone else. So yeah, it's good to have a couple of people fighting over that award. I think that does us for tonight, fellas. Thanks ever so much for joining me. I think it shows sometimes if you don't do notes, a bit more of a laugh. I've had a bit. It's been quite loose. I've had a laugh. It's been really, really good to speak to you both, and there will be a post-match point tomorrow night after Barrow. Going to be honest, not sure who's going to be on it yet, because I've completely forgotten about it, but we'll be sure to sort that out after the show. Don't forget to visit the Purity website, and if you use the code #VillaView, you'll be able to get 10% off all the Purity goods and everything else they offer. As I say, back tomorrow night. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. Up the Villa.